Hey, buds. Welcome back to Between Two Buds. I am your host, Corey. And as you can see, things are a little bit different here. Um, I'm doing this by myself. Brooksy is still here and he's around. He's going to pop in from time to time, but we're just going to talk and we're going to chill out and we're going to hang out. Uh, I'm going to start off this episode talking about one of my absolute most favorite games ever. I've been playing Resident Evil. I've played just about every single Resident Evil game there is to play. I'm sure there's a couple that I haven't played, some that are overseas or whatever that you can't really get here. But for the most part, I think I've played and loved just about every Resident Evil game. Now, before we get into it, I'd like to thank our friends at Sweet Leaf. So, I've been smoking for a long, long time. And I've smoked a lot of different strains from a lot of different people. One of my absolute favorite strains ever to smoke is called Lucid Blue. It's in the Blue family. Believe it's a indica hybrid, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So I went into Sweet Leaf the other day, and the people there are absolutely awesome. I'm going to throw up the details here. So if you're ever up in the Roseneath area looking for some good cannabis and just a good experience, go check out Sweet Leaf because these guys are awesome. Okay. But I had mentioned that I'm absolutely in love with the Lucid Blue. So my boy Ethan went into the back and hooked us up. So that's what we're going to smoke here today while we talk about Resident Evil. Now, we're going to go more into detail about Requiem, but just a little, back history here. Like I said, I've been playing Resident Evil for as long as I can remember. It is part of the reason, if not the main reason, that I am a Sony console guy. All right. I have up to date every single console, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm currently riding the PlayStation 5. Once the PlayStation 6 comes out, Sony, please take my money. All right, that's just how it is. I work hard, and one thing that I really do like to invest both my time and my money in is my entertainment system, my console, and my games. So, Resident Evil 9 dropped one day before my birthday, February 27th of 2026, and it was something that I was anticipating for months and months since I heard about its release. You can ask Brooksy, you can ask any of my friends, my family. I'm sure at some point they got real sick and tired about hearing about Resident Evil. But I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's fantastic. The immersiveness of the game itself, and it's not just about going and killing zombies. It's about developing a relationship with these characters that carries over for multiple games. Leon Kennedy, he is the protagonist in the new Resident Evil 9 game, and he's been around for a few games. Ada Wong, right? She pops up here and there in a multitude of different games, and she's such an interesting, cool character. She just kind of comes in and she kicks ass and she saves the day, and then you don't hear anything about her for a while. There, I think for a period of time, there was some rumors going around that there was something between Ada and Leon, but I mean, you have your other characters as well. You have Chris Redfield, you have Claire Redfield. There's a plethora of different characters, and even the bad guys. Like every single Resident Evil game that you play, one of the exciting things is to find out who the bad guy is going to be. Like, who's the antagonist? Who are you working towards? Who are the different mini bosses that you have to fight? And The things that these guys are coming up with, the creatures and the ideas and the plot lines that these devs are coming up with are beyond measure. They're fantastic. Um, Everything. I mean, another one of my absolute favorite games was Resident Evil Village. Uh, that game was just so intense and it was so scary, as well as Biohazard. The Baker family, like, come on, bro. Like those guys were absolutely nuts. They so reminded me of exactly what, and I don't know if there was any type of inspiration or anything like that based upon, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that family, the Baker family really gave me those vibes, just absolutely out of their minds. um Resident Evil 9 dropped. I nearly peed on myself, and of course it was pre-ordered, so the day it dropped was the day I was ready to play it. Um, it was absolutely fantastic. Basically, the game is about, it centers around um, Alyssa Ashcroft, who she, she's the daughter of, or maybe it's not Alyssa. You know what? I'm gonna get the right name. It's the marijuana. What are you gonna do? Um, but oh, maybe it's Alice. I don't know. Anyway, it centers around this female character who's going back to the scene of where her mother was murdered. Um, she goes back there to investigate some things that are happening, and just all hell breaks loose. At some point during the game, after you've gotten a little taste of what's going on, um, of course, our man Leon shows up, and you get to play as him as well. The gameplay between the two is phenomenally different. Phenomenally. Um, the female character, I'm pretty sure it's Alyssa. I'm gonna say Alyssa. For now, I will put up the correct names and stuff here, but for the time being, we'll say Alyssa. Alyssa Ashcroft. Okay. She is very, because she's not a warrior, she works in an office, right? So it's sort of, kind of like paralleling Dungeons and Dragons a little bit, where your character is imperfect in their own perfect ways. um and with this main female character, basically she's shaky, she's nervous, but the great thing is that there's an arc that she takes throughout the game, where near the end she becomes more secure and more confident in what she's doing and who she is and what her particular mission is. Leon, on the other hand, is, he's Leon. He's the badass. He's got these cool ass parry moves that you can do, and he's got one of the great things that I love. One of the additions is you get a hatchet, and the hatchet never breaks to the point where you lose it, but it can break to the point it becomes ineffective. However, you don't need any extra tools or any extra anything. You can sharpen it and it fills right back up, and you have your full axe again, which I think is fantastic. You use it a lot when you do your parries and stuff, especially against the main monster. So if you do a parry, it'll definitely save you, but it takes a lot off of the integrity of your hatchet. Leon gets all the cool weapons and all the cool upgrades and everything like that. Whereas Alyssa Ashcroft, she's more straightforward. She's more the puzzle solver. So she gets basic weapons. They upgrade a bit, and you can craft other weapons with this med injector that you have, where you kill a zombie and you can extract their blood, which allows you to make certain things throughout the game, upgrades and all that fun stuff. Um, so the gameplay is so different that it's almost like, and it obviously, it kind of cuts back and forth between the two depending on where the story is at the time. And it's it's just so amazing how it how they made almost two separate games, kind of married into one. I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Um, Another amazing thing about this game is that you can do it either in mid game or you can do it at the beginning and play your playthroughs, but you can play in either first person or third person. So by doing that, it takes the gameplay, even the same gameplay, if you play it multiple times, to a whole new level, right? Because especially an immersive survival horror game like this, to be in first person, it's a different feeling, especially when you throw in some mind altering and you create a mood, you turn the lights off and you're playing in the dark, like she's going through the dark, and as she's going through her journey and her missions, you're kind of right alongside with her. um One of the things that I absolutely love about smoking weed and playing games is that it puts for me anyway, I can only speak on behalf of myself, but it puts my brain into kind of like a very, I don't know how to say it, like a real interpersonal, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm there. It immerses me even more. And the fun thing is that I'm sure all smokers experience this, which is why it's absolutely not safe to drive when you're high. I don't care what anybody says. It tunes my focus. It makes me a better driver. Bullshit. Okay, because I find that I'll be playing a game, and a lot of these games, what'll happen is, you'll navigate through, you know, multiple different hallways and rooms, and nothing will happen, right? And then you do something at the other end, and as you're coming back through those same halls and those same rooms, all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. Okay? It's absolutely crazy and it's maddening. Okay? But it's so much fun. So, when I get into those zones and I'm navigating and I'm going through, I tend to just I'm not hyper focused on the game itself. I'm hyper focused on the movements within the game, like navigating through the game. So sometimes I'm coming back and something will happen and it'll scare the absolute shit out of me. And it's amazing. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, that's why I'm playing this game. Um, there are so many twists and turns and so many amazing parts of this game that I, I can't. I mean, I just cannot wait for what's coming next. Um, I've heard kind of in the pipeline that we've got, an original Resident Evil remake on the way out, a Code Veronica, and a Resident Evil Zero remake, all scheduled between like now and 2030. Oh my God, that would be so awesome. I just absolutely love this game. If I had to pick, I would say that probably Resident Evil 6 was not one of my absolute favorite, like, and it's weird to say because I've played the game multiple times, right? Just because I love Resident Evil. But it's not one of my favorite ones to play. If I've played the other Resident Evils, or I've played God of War, which is something else we're going to talk about, um, then if I have to, then I don't mind replaying that. But if I can find something else to replay, I will. The Resident Evil 9 dropped, and this, what we're about to talk about, really doesn't happen all that often. Um, and I think, in my opinion, I'll explain why. But Resident Evil 9 dropped the main game February 27th. Just a few weeks ago, they dropped a brand new DLC for Resident Evil 9, which is called Leon Must Die Forever. Is that what it is? Leon Must Die Forever. Um, you have to, you can get the DLC, but you can't play it unless you have at least one saved full playthrough on your console. So you have to play the game at least once and finish it, and then you'll be able to play the DLC. The DLC, I'm gonna, you know what? Before we get into my reviews, let's take a look at this. I was able to find this, and this is pretty good. This is the trailer for the Resident Evil Leon Must Die Forever DLC. All right, check it out.
I'll keep our friends busy. Let's make this quick.
So, yeah, buddy. Tell me that wasn't incredible. Yeah, that was a really good trailer. I didn't see any trailers or anything like that for the DLC before I played it. I didn't watch any videos about it before I played it because I wanted to experience it exactly, brand new, like with fresh eyes, knowing absolutely nothing about it. Which sometimes can be a bad thing because then you end up going into it with, expectations, but I did not. Simply because I know what Resident Evil is capable of. I know what these creators and these developers are able to do with these storylines and these characters in this game. So I didn't want to I didn't want to spoil anything. I didn't want any huge expectations that I would be disappointed in if they didn't hit. So let's talk about this DLC. I've been playing this DLC and I spent a couple hours last night or the night before with Brooksy, just, going back and forth. Now, the way that the DLC works is it's sort of like the missionaries from the previous DLCs in Resident Evil games. It's a little bit different though. So the way it works, it's a tiered system. You go through different levels of the game itself. And in these levels, even in this DLC, some of the sorry about that weird cut there. We had some technical difficulties. Gotta love it. Gotta love doing a podcast on the fly. But what I was saying was it's a tiered system and you move through the different levels, the same levels that you would move through in the game. Some of the tasks that you have to do are the same, um, but they're not necessary in completing that particular area that you go into. Now, the absolute frustrating thing that people are going to find in this game, wait for it, it's one shot per play. So you have multiple areas that you can go through, but you only get one play. Now, each level or run, so to speak, is considered a rank. So you start at one, and if you can make it all the way through, and if you can beat Victor without dying, and then beat the main big boss without dying, then you complete one rank. Now the really good thing is that these points that you collect, are character points. So they go towards your overall character points. So you can play this DLC, you could beat a bunch of challenges, and you can really build up your character points if you're going for something like I'm striving for, which is the um, unlimited ammo. Um, I'm I, I'm not a huge fan of the speed runs. There are some people that one of the challenges is finishing the game and releasing the disease within 4 hours. So I mean, there's people that do it. There's people that do it in 3 hours and change. I'm just not a fan of the speed runs because I find you miss so much out of the game. I know you've already played it, you've already experienced it, but if I'm going to spend that amount of time, I really want to get out what the developers and the everybody put into it. So, it's the one challenge that I'm not, you know, freaking out about finishing the speed runs on any of them, but one of my main challenges is I like to do the infinite ammo. Once I get infinite ammo, then I can play on any difficulty and I feel pretty comfortable. Um, so that is Resident Evil. Another thing that I've gotten into lately, me personally, it's kind of what I love to do. It's for my mental health, a whole bunch of stuff. Is I was gifted a 3D printer by a good friend of mine, and I've gotten into 3D printing. So, in in light of us talking about Resident Evil and Resident Evil 9 and everything Resident Evil and zombies, um, I printed and painted a couple of things I wanted to show you guys. So here is Mr. Raccoon. So this is the guy that you go through and you got to find them and smash them. You Usually there's a certain number of them throughout a game, and if you get them all, you get a special um, completion bonus. The other thing that I made, which this I'm quite proud of, this is my Resident Evil Nemesis. Yeah. If you look there, there's a stars badge because he's always after the stars. And then right there, turn this around so you can see it. I made the T virus and the antivirus. This was so much fun to do. It was really, really hard though because, it's obviously water and food coloring. And to get the colors perfect, without being too light, so it just looks like colored, just water, or too dark where you couldn't see the DNA helix in it. But it was so much fun to make. Let me know what you think of my creations. I make a whole bunch of stuff. I'll make another episode at some point and show you all the cool shit that I like to make and like to do. But yeah, that's Resident Evil, man. There is another mini game that's supposed to be coming out. I think in the fall. I've heard. So it's just a matter of waiting patiently for that because again, I just love everything Resident Evil and I can't wait for it. Now, it's not just Resident Evil, okay? I love zombies. I love zombie games. I love zombie lore. I love, everything to do with zombies. Another one of my absolute favorite zombie games to play is a game called Days Gone. Um, you play as an ex motorcycle rider who loses his girlfriend basically at the beginning of the apocalypse. They get separated. He ends up with his best friend, and then, they go on this mission to try to find out what happened to her and try to find her. And the hordes in this game are something that I've never seen before. Now, lately, I've also been playing World War Z, the with the Walking Dead expansion, and the hordes in that game look very similar to the ones in the movie, where it's just, I mean, they're flowing over cars and stuff like that, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I love it. I love those kind of games. Days Gone, very similar to that, where you fight different creatures. There's not so much a mini boss per se, but you move through different areas, and the creatures and just get bigger and stronger and more elaborate. So you got many different mini bosses kind of along the way. But the big thing about the game Days Gone is the hordes. Fighting these hordes is just phenomenal because they will surround you if you get yourself caught. They will surround you, they flank you, they come in. So, strategy is so important in this game, in order to, get them to come through a choke point. So, it's a lot easier to take out multiples at once. Because there's sometimes 1,000 of these things in a horde. I spent almost 25 minutes one night just clearing a single horde because there's so many and they come from everywhere. But it is fantastic. So we mentioned earlier God of War. God of War, again, I'm really into Greek and Roman mythology. I think it's absolutely amazing and fantastic. So interesting to learn. So, God of War incorporates a lot of that mythology and a lot of that lore. Um, the games from the earlier PS versions were fantastic, they were great. The new God of War absolutely stupefied my mind. It is a beautiful game. It has a beautiful plot and a beautiful story. You get to play with your son Atreus in the newer God of War games, and I was really worried I wasn't gonna like that because I'm for Kratos, man. It's all about Kratos, but the God of War series has taken both the story and the character of Kratos and kind of changed their arc a little bit. So now Kratos is trying to find a regular life. He has a kid now. His wife's gone. He just wants to make her happy, do right by her, and do right by his kid. But he is Kratos, right? He is the god of war. He's killed humans. He's killed gods, and it's not something that you can just let go of so easy, right? So the game is phenomenal. God of War Ragnarok was probably one of the best games that I've played in regards to gameplay and battle and story and recognizing who everybody is, and it just a fantastic game. Um, a new God of War is supposed to be coming out. There's a whole bunch of back and forth and theory on, how where the story is going to go. Is it Egypt? Is it going to include Atreus? Is it not? What's going to happen? Nobody really knows, but that's part of the fun and the mystery of waiting for these games. But God of War, if you haven't played it, highly, highly suggest it. Uh, we, both Brooksy and myself, are waiting very patiently for September 16th when Wolverine drops. Um, they made a Wolverine game. I believe it was for Xbox, maybe, a bunch of years ago. And I've seen some gameplay on it. It really wasn't so bad. It was pretty good. But nothing from PlayStation or anything like that. He has been featured in a few of like the Marvel All-Star games and things, but never had his own standalone game. That, my friends, is about to change. All right? It's about to change. Logan is back. Okay? And from the gameplay that I've seen, the game looks crazy, ridiculous. Like Wolverine in perfect form. I love it. From what I'm gathering, and this could be wrong, but some of my sources are telling me that you get to play multi characters, and you might actually get to play as Mystique, which would be super super cool because she's a really cool character to play with as well. Very agile, very she's probably got a ton of cool sick moves. She can change, so I'm wondering what they're gonna kind of do with that. Is she gonna have to infiltrate places or whatever? I am just super stoked, super excited about this. There are a lot of really good games in the pipeline that are coming out over the next few years. There's been a bunch that have already come out. Death Stranding is a fantastic game. Um, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of games that come out. Um, I am I'm not as much of a game head as some of these other guys that do it, that really know, like, the games coming out and the games that have come out. I'm really here to just tell you kind of like what my experience, and just to share it with you guys, and what I like to do and what I like to play. I'm a zombie guy. I love horror games. I love immersive horror games. Um, and it's something to do to pass the time. And I mean, if I'm gonna sit and smoke a joint and whatever anyway, I really just like, our world is kind of crappy. I think we can all agree. And the great thing about these games and how they make them nowadays, and how beautiful these games are, is that we can just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, we can leave this plane for a little while and just be something else. We can be superheroes. We can be bad guys. We can be the ones trying to save the world. Or you can take risks and know that you might die and you might lose your character here, but you're going to be back. You might have to backtrack a little bit, but it's not a bad life lesson. You know what I mean? Like, don't give up. Shit's going to get hard, and it's going to hit you in different ways, and it's going to kill you. It's going to take you down. It's going to knock you off the ladder. It's going to be a zombie that chews on your face. But respawn. You know what I mean? Like, just take it for what it is, an experience through life, and you are going to be so much stronger for having experienced it, but more importantly, have come through it. I know that sounds ridiculous when it comes to a video game, but believe me, it's not just, you know, it, creative or cartoony dribble, just playing video games. There is more to it. Um, it develops really good hand-eye coordination. You know, I don't think it's going to make you a doctor or a surgeon. However, there's been new steps in technology and stuff where doctors and surgeons are using actual joysticks to do surgeries, whether it be from across the world because they don't have a surgeon, they can't get there, or it is such an intricate process that big human hands would bungle it all up. So there are robots and joysticks and stuff that do this. You know what I mean? So it's not it's not something to just say, "Oh, you're just playing video games." I think if you waste all your free time, your free money, and your efforts all on playing video games, that's a little bit different. That's something that might be concerning to some people. But believe me, if you ask enough women, would you rather have your man sitting at home playing, NBA 2K or God of War, Resident Evil, or Call of Duty, or whatever it is that we're playing? Or would you have him running out with his boys and getting in all kinds of bullshit and mischief? And this is what helps us stay out of trouble. We're men, you know. We get into trouble. I, in a lot of cases, would rather stay at home and play some video games and go out and deal with the fuckery of the world. Now, I mean, it really kind of debilitates you meeting people and things like that. But like I said, if it's not taking over your entire universe and your entire world, I don't have a problem. I don't see any issue whatsoever with grown men playing video games. Playing video games has gotten me out of some really really dark times and dark areas, and when I've thought about doing a lot of other stupid stuff, instead I sit down and I play a video game. And that you smoke a joint, play a video game, and that'll occupy enough time that whatever stupid thoughts or stupid ideas I was having are gone. Because now I'm lost in this new world. Maybe it's a new confidence I have, or whatever it is. Like playing as Leon S. Kennedy. Trust me, gives you some confidence. But yeah, I wanted to express and to share with you, my Resident Evil experience, my zombie experience. I'm really looking forward to diving into a bunch of new episodes and a bunch of new ideas. Please comment, subscribe, leave me any ideas. If you think you have an idea and you want to be on the show, please let me know. If you have an idea or something you want me to talk about or research on the show, please let me know. We got some really, really cool guests coming up in the next little while, so I'm really looking forward to that. Some surprises, some hopefully some people that we haven't heard from in a while that we'll hear from again soon. So I want to thank you again. Between Two Buds, I am Corey. This has been so much fun. I love just hanging with you guys and having a smoke and shooting the shit. And like I said, we got a lot of new fun stuff coming up. Let me know if there's anything that you want to do. Like, subscribe, and I will check you guys later. All right? Padow.
I love smoking marijuana.